This is the Civetta bolide, an Italian supercar from the 80s that's been in BeamNG since the dawn of time, back in 2013, and it has been a death trap ever since. Starting off with the interior, it is extremely sparse, even by 80s standards, although it does appear to have seat warmers and power windows. Then when you go around to the front, it has about as much room as you'd expect, unless you get the 320 GTT version where they've replaced it with an air intake. Then going to the headlights, you do get pop-up headlights, again unless you get the 320 GTT where they remove those for weight reduction. Then going around the back, you have a window to see that massive V8 that powers this weapon. The exterior, however, is a prime example of Italian beauty. Even with the sharp corners of the 80s, this car will take your breath away when you watch it drive by. And that's not just because you're surprised to see it not on the back of the tow truck. This vehicle is exquisite from every angle. You may not know this, but bolide is actually an Italian word for fireball or meteor, which is pretty accurate, as that's probably what some bystanders will describe it after you wrap yourself around a tree, or a fence, or anything else on the side of the road. Another interesting thing that the bystanders will see is the Bluetooth engine. You can actually break the back half of the car off and then drive it around while not connected, since the throttle inputs just tell it what to do. Everyone knows that the bolide looks a lot like a Ferrari, but that's not the only Italian sports car it gets its DNA from. It seems to be an amalgamation of 70s and 80s supercars from Italy. Even the Lancia Stratos gets some DNA in there, with the paint job and spoiler on the Group 4 version being heavily influenced by that. And even the wheels on the homologation cars look very similar to the ones on the car in the game. In terms of speedrunning, the bolide is actually useful on the track Gridmap V2 perimeter. Even though the Scintilla makes more power, the bolide can be made 250 kilograms lighter, is more stable, and most importantly, can run longer before overheating, which is extremely important as the car will be running flat out at 450 to 530 kilometers or 280 to 330 miles per hour for the minute-and-a-half run. So while the bolide was able to do that, my best attempt with the Scintilla was this. And the Scintilla was still 200 kilometers an hour slower, while not being able to survive running at high speeds for that period of time. The bolide appears to have not broken down yet, so let's take a look at how it drives. We'll go with the bolide 320 GTT Course, which is priced at a very reasonable 290,000 beam bucks, or the price of 4 Vivas Arsenics. For those 4 Vivas's in price, you get 396 horsepower in a 1295 kilogram shell, and that'll do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.9 seconds. According to Civetta, it will do 302 kilometers per hour, but on the Italian highway I was only able to get up to 296. In terms of handling, this car is perfect for the winding roads of Italy. It handles just as you would like a supercar to. As fast as a rocket ship, as beautiful as the Dolomites, and as dangerous as Mount Vesuvius. And if you're not as smooth as an Italian watchmaker, this car won't just be difficult to drive, it will be like using a Zweihander, the job of an intricate Italian dagger. And if you're not ready for those 396 Italian thoroughbreds, you might just become a bolide. In terms of how to drive, you need to be focused, experienced, and have enough talent to fill the canals of Venice, twice. And this car doesn't just have a tendency to oversteer, it's an inevitability. So be gentle with the throttle, and when you do oversteer, make sure to get off the throttle and don't overcorrect. At least that'll help you from becoming a decoration on the wall. And now that we've proven that the bolide is about as dangerous as jumping into Mount Vesuvius, let's put it in the hands of our expert racing driver. Some say that it doesn't consider lava to be that hot, and it thinks that engines were invented before the wheel because what else would wheels be used for? All we know is that it's called the Misty. Starting off, we have a whole lot of wheel spin. I guess those big tires from the 80s aren't quite enough to handle all those 396 horsepower. Heading down into the first corner, heavy into the braking, and taking a very tight line through there. Heading over to the washing machine section, on the dirt, and using every inch of the track that we have. Now heading into the snake, it's going to have a heavy braking zone here. And then we'll have another very heavy braking zone coming up here. And it is handling that, but going a little wide wide through there. Heading all the way down to the 190. Very quickly and heavy on the brakes again. Barely able to handle this car. Leaving the 190 and onto the little back straight. Heading down the corkscrew, and is it gonna stay on the track today? Yes, it appears so. That's good to hear. Now going into the back chicane, let's see how it handles it. A little bit on the dirt, using the entire track, heading down the final back straight, and across the line. Alright, so the SBR4 in the last episode did it in 118.6, and I expected this to be back around the rear-wheel drive SBR4 in the K series in the 125 area. Comment where you think that the bolide will end up. Alrighty, done? Thank you. Considering that this car is from the 80s and it's literally named Fireball, I didn't have that high hopes when starting out for the lap, but it managed not to break down. The Civetta bolide GTT course did the lap in 1 minute 23.0, putting it 2 seconds faster than the K Series 360, but still 4.5 slower than the SBR4. I don't think that proves the bolide is slow, just how crazy fast that SBR4 is. Alright, now it's time for what you've all been waiting for, the verdict. Should you buy a Civetta bolide? Assuming you've got 300 grand lying around. My opinion is that you should... Oh, it looks like the last known bolide just broke down. So, I guess nobody can get a bolide now. So, I guess I don't need to answer you. On that terrible little disappointment, make sure to like, subscribe, and explain why you think that the bolide looks like a De Tomaso Pantera, so I can ignore you because that's stupid. Goodbye.